Welcome back, Delts and friends, as we trek forward during the Delt Day of Giving 2023, Forging the Future. We are now at approximately $134,000 raised and counting, thanks to 180 donors across the country and across the world. So thank you so very much. We know that we're getting just past lunchtime out on the West Coast. There's still a lot going on today. Folks on the East Coast still just getting out of work here in the next hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if you've had a long day. So we appreciate all the support and hope that folks get a chance to continue to engage this evening as we continue to have a ton of exciting programming and content coming forward. Speaking of, we're now joined by CEO of the fraternity, Jack Kreman. Jack, good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on for this big day.
Absolutely. Glad that you could join us. And so certainly a lot to talk about both today and overall. Quickly just jumping into it. Right now we've got a new governance structure. Right now we've got our first joint employee in the enterprise. We're moving from division conferences to Compass. So beyond this Delt Day of Giving, there's a lot of change happening in the organization. What's it like to be at the helm during all of that change?
It's exhausting, but exciting at the same time. And fortunately, we've got just a great team, many of whom have joined us today on Day of Giving. We've been able to meet some of them because they're out there just making it all happen. It's one thing to sit and kind of dream the dream, and it's another to have just really good people who are out there getting it done. And it seems like every time I attend a staff meeting or talk with one of our staff members, I'm surprised by the next ambitious thing that they've taken on. And I think it's exciting. It's sort of building up to a lot of the things that our members will see this fall. You mentioned governance, so deploying a whole new volunteer structure, and the regional model. The Arch chapter's diving into that next week. Just all of these things that we're building, the joint employee, and looking to do more of that and just become more aligned. So it's been really exciting. And at times it's difficult always to just keep track of the different moving parts, but the team's done a wonderful job, and just really excited to see how much better we can serve the member, the fraternity, the chapters when we're able to put all this into practice this fall and beyond.
Exciting stuff, no doubt. Continuing to talk about change in an ever-evolving world. We're 3 years post the start of the coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic. We talked a little bit earlier with some other folks about what changes they've seen, especially Tiffany Zeman with working through the behavioral side of things. But even from your lens as the CEO, how has the fraternity experience overall changed in a post-COVID world?
I think I would point a couple of different directions. I think one, we've proven that we are resilient. I think it's been probably understated the amount of success that we've had locally, surviving, persisting, and now our groups are, many of which are stronger than they've ever been. And I think it's sort of like that fire forges and hardened steel, putting our guys through that fire. It was difficult. There were some challenges. There certainly were some setbacks, but I think that has been really important to us moving forward. I think on the other side of that, some of the challenges that we're facing and going to continue to face are just that lack of institutional knowledge. We've always talked about how groups every 2 years are cycling through and institutional memory goes quickly. But when you are distributed or not together or on Zoom, we just lost a lot of those habits. And I'm starting to see them come back. But we've got some work to do, just building some of the basics with some of our groups, trying to elevate their operation to a higher level. But I think it'll be a net positive when it's all said and done. That's the good news. It just is a little bit of pain in the interim as we get everything built back to where it was before.
And certainly we've talked with Doug Russell earlier, and even Tiffany a little bit. I know as another former consultant, both of us sitting here excited to see that expansion of that staff coming back into play. Talking about, groups that are stronger than ever, one group in particular, your alma mater, the guys at Kearney, Theta Kappa, they're coming off a Hugh Shields Award, their first, I believe, since coming back into the fold, although they got close last year. What's it like to not only see your chapter come back into the fold, but to be excelling, to be performing at a high level, and having a member on the UGC and well represented there, and really having a reinvigorated, pretty dedicated base of alums out there in Nebraska?
Well, first of all, to the people, I had no say in the Hugh Shields. I wasn't involved in that and was as surprised as everybody else, but that's been really gratifying. I think it's an interesting situation to be able to identify with those that have gone through that process of losing and then restarting the chapter. And when I work with our alums and we're at that point, I can say, I've been here, I know what it feels like, but I also know what it looks like on the other side. That's been really helpful. Our guys in good old Kearney, America, just continue to do great things. And I'm not surprised, but they have taken where we began and they've really just grown and blown the doors off. My chapter brothers and I will joke, like, I'm not sure that we'd even get an invitation into our own chapter at this point. They've really surpassed what we established and then moved beyond. Their accomplishments are both just, as you mentioned, undergraduate council, Hugh Shields, but also locally, the funds that they raise for JDRF. They've been integral in the new housing start that UNK has undergone there for its fraternities and sororities. Joseph Hyatt, the UGC member, will be on the Capitol Hill next week lobbying Congress. And so they've really made their mark. I couldn't be more proud as an alum. And you'd mentioned the alumni base. It was really an opportunity for them to get back involved. We celebrated 30 years last year and had 75, 80 of our alums back. And so just a success story. And sometimes it's hard, but the best thing is to take that break and come back even better. And our local alums, Ben Broccoli, Tony Troush, and then the school, Carly Nuttleman, George Holman, they've all been very supportive. So when it comes together and works well, it's just amazing to see how good it can be.
And certainly a lot of excitement in the air. Some pretty successful expansions on the books within the past year at IU, Colorado, Boulder, the guys at Ole Miss just getting installed last week, and a full slate coming up. I know Doug spoke to that. That's going to be exciting to be in a real growth mindset, as the organization always is, but being able to really execute on that, coming out of COVID and the restrictions that surrounded it.
Yeah, I think it's really a testament that the product is as relevant as ever. And I talk about it like it's a product, but the membership experience is needed. And our campuses continue to see that men that are in fraternities graduate at higher rates, they're more engaged academically, they're more aware of differences, diversity. They have a better experience. They come back, they give. All of the metrics that we look at are enhanced by membership. And so it's not surprising to me that schools and the names you'd recognize, the Syracuses and the LSUs, are excited to get Delt back onto campus. I think our local groups, too, are getting their footing. It was a struggle for some to remember how to recruit, and it really is one person at a time. As a former recruitment chairman thrice, you can certainly understand and empathize with that. But I see nothing but growth. It's always a challenge. We're always fighting one heart at a time for those guys that didn't necessarily think they wanted to be in a fraternity. But we'll continue to chase after the best men on campus and get more than our fair share. And I'm just excited about where I think we're going with all of these new places and all of our existing groups continuing to do better things. It's just really exciting time to be here in the central office.
It is. We have the scholarship and fellowship fund as a part of the Forging the Future campaign. And you talk about chasing those best and brightest. And during a time where economics are a little funky coming out of COVID, having inflation, other issues, college continuing to be harder and harder to finance, there are opportunities there. So I want to encourage everyone, if that's something that's passionate to you, to support that at deltsgive.org as a part of the Forging the Future campaign and the Delt Day of Giving. Jack, we'll leave with this. What is something, whether it be short-term or long-term, that overall just really excites you about Delta Tau Delta?
I get the most excited, as I did this weekend when we were installing the group at Ole Miss. You mentioned that, gone for 80 years back, one of the founding chapter of the Rainbow Fraternity that we merged with in the 1800s. But when you meet with those young men and just see how excited they are, how passionate they are, you can't help but be excited for the future. Unprompted and unscripted at the installation banquet, we had the mother of one of our seniors talk on behalf of her experience. And she raised her hand and said, "Can I say something?" And when mom says, "I want to speak," you let mom speak.
Sure.
And she's a resident of LA, a long, long way from Oxford, Mississippi, and had a lot of trepidation to send her son to Mississippi, the South, and she's a product of California, joined a fraternity, and she said, "Not only has my son grown and developed like you said he would, He also, I also never felt like he was going to be unsafe. I never felt like he was going to be alone. I always felt he's going to be cared for. These guys, the other parents that become a second family. And that's where I think we will continue to resonate generation after generation as we make campus smaller, we make it friendlier, we give men the group of friends that they need to both persist, but also become better human beings. So that's what gets me excited every time, meeting with our young men, our youngest members, our newest members. Their excitement is contagious, and I see the future as bright. And if you don't believe me, I'd challenge anybody out there, go visit one of our groups and meet with them, and I think you'll come away impressed and surprised at just how good they are.
Certainly a lot to look forward to. And Jack, I appreciate you taking time today to join us during the Delt Day of Giving.
Excellent. Thank you, Vince, for all you do. And we need your support. Our guys are out there doing what they can, but cost of education goes up, cost of programs goes up. Keeping these great people here at our office is important. So help us, help them, and we look forward to seeing you making your gift on today's Delt Day of Giving.
Thank you. Can't say it any better myself. We'll step aside. We'll be back the next hour. We have a super exciting interview. If we could possibly top sitting down and talking with Jack, we'll have a former Major League Baseball pitcher and Drew Storen sitting in this seat in a little over an hour. So you won't want to miss that. We'll be back at the 5 o'clock Eastern hour here on the Delt Day of Giving 2023, Forging the Future.